Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, and welcome to this edition of Sisters of Legacy. We are going to run our intro, and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here live on this fine Thursday at 8 p.m., and I am one of our three hosts. My name is Samantha, and we have Shanetta McNair
Hello.
and Katrina Taylor.
Good evening.
All right, guys, and we are the Sisters of Legacy. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining us and thanks for sharing. So, if you are not watching us live and you're watching us on a replay, please let me know you are watching a replay. I love to see it. Everybody can't always catch us when we're on, but we appreciate you watching whenever you watch. So, ladies, how are we doing this week? The fourth was Monday, so a short week. How's it going?
Great week. But I'm off, so
Bragging.
Right, I guess you just slipped that in. And Trina, how's your week going?
It's going. It's going.
Okay, so were you open Monday on the holiday?
No, it's closed Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday is the holiday. Monday, but I was
Oh,
closed
right.
Monday, so yeah.
Okay, all right. Good to know. Good to know. All right, people. So, like I said, we are here every Thursday at 8 p.m. And this week, we are going to talk about comparison versus contentment. I guess I should have said that would have made just a little more sense. My mistake because I didn't really think about it until I was looking at it. But we want to talk about just that being content or constantly comparing things around you, yourself to things, other people to you, where you are in your life versus where you think you should be, how you look versus, what you think you should look like, all those things. We're going to kind of touch on those tonight. So I wanted to start off with a quote. Theodore Roosevelt once said, comparison is the thief of joy. And I've heard that before and I seen it. And I was kind of like, thinking about that. And of course, am I thinking? I'm like, yeah, because if I'm constantly comparing myself to, I don't know, maybe I'm like, oh, well, when Trina was my age, she was doing this and she had this and she had that. And now I'm this age, and I don't have that. If I'm constantly comparing myself to other things, to other people, I can't enjoy where I am. I can't enjoy what's happening for me at the moment if I'm constantly thinking about, what's happening for somebody else. So I thought it was a good topic because I know, like, as women, especially now, you see it all over the internet. If it's not the dark skinned girls versus the light skinned girls. It's the natural girls versus the surgery enhanced girls. Whatever it is, it's just a constant comparison that I see. And I think like, are these people really happy? Like, it's the wives versus the side chicks. Like, who's really the most miserable? Like I think about it. And I like in my mind, I feel like they're both miserable. The wives are miserable because the side chicks exist. And the side chicks are miserable because they have wives. So we gonna, like I said, we're gonna touch on a bunch of those topics, bunch of those different areas tonight. Good evening, ladies. Hey Larry, how are you? Not sure. I guess it's your first time. Thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have first time viewers. So, Shanetta, when I sent you the topic, tell me the first thing that came to your mind.
Um, just in thinking about it, for me, um I think it's natural to do some comparisons. And as I was like just reading the information, it did kind of make me think like, wow, like I might really be missing out. Like when I do kind of take those moments to like compare one thing to another or how I'm doing versus how somebody else is doing, how that could very much so be like robbing me of enjoying a moment or an experience. Um, so it kind of made me stop and say, like, are there moments where I'm too busy trying to like make sure something is this way or that way that I'm missing something? And it kind of makes you just like take that seat back sometimes and just evaluate and see, where you might be doing it unconsciously. Because sometimes I don't even think it's a conscious thing that we do. It's just because so much stuff is thrown in our faces on a daily basis of how this is supposed to be done or how that's supposed to be done or when you're supposed to complete this task or how long it should take to do this or to do that, that we're constantly evaluating where we are against someone else's, I guess, measuring stick. Um, so it kind of made me stop and say, like, let's take a look. Let's pay attention to how often we're doing this.
All right. Larry said, I'm great shooting pool tonight. And I shared, well, thanks for sharing and enjoy pool. He said, hey, Lisa. I don't know who this is, but obviously he's familiar with some of the audience. So, okay. Right. Like what you said, sometimes it is like, I think almost like a natural thing where for me, I know it's when I'm sitting too long, like, and I don't mean sitting like physically. I mean like,
Mhm.
if I get stuck in a space, sometimes you have those moments where it doesn't appear to your natural eye that anything is happening. Oh, okay, Larry. I'm sorry. I'm slow. Forgive me, Larry. You know I love you. It's all good though. He said beard and hat guy. I know who you are now. So that's Larry from the morning show with the guys. So yeah, like, when it doesn't appear like something's happening, and your mind gets to spinning too much, like
Mhm.
I found, then I can get caught in that moment where I'm comparing, I don't know, apples to zebra. Because like when you really because when you really think about it, you don't even be comparing stuff, that's in the same category. It's
Right.
like you're like, I know for me, my comparisons are always like somehow in my mind, I'm always like way down here, and and I'm comparing to like in my mind something that's like way different. So that's why I said apples to zebra. So Trina, what came to your mind when you first thought about it?
Well, I read the article that you sent, and she made a good point about how you kind of, if you were to compare yourself to someone who was like an expert and the person doing the worst, and you kind of put yourself in the middle. And I kind of feel like that's what we kind of do naturally because we're always like, well, I'm not as bad as this one, but I may not be that good. We're always like, I'm not where I used to be, but I'm not where I want to be. And I feel like that's kind of where I usually put myself. I'm like, well, I'm not that big, but I'm not that small either. You know what I mean? Like you kind of put yourself in the middle and just. And sometimes it's helpful for you to kind of have an ideal to reach toward.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, but I don't know about it being the thief. I think I kind of utilize it to, I don't know, see where I am, but also see where I want to be. Um, but yeah, I can also see where it could do something to where you're not being present. Like, and
Mhm.
I think we spoke about that before, not being present because you're always thinking about the next thing, the next thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I totally agree. Like, I know my husband is probably watching, and I'm probably gonna, hear it about this. But like, I tell him that like a lot, with different things, because he has like so much that goes on in his head, and so many things, that he wants to happen, and when it's not happening right, you know, the way he want and how he whatever he gets into that that space where it's like, well, I'm not here where I should be, or I'm not here, I should be doing better, or I should be. And I always try to remind him, like, you know, well, I thought he's about to open the door and fuss at me. Like, I always remind him, like, in God's plan, like, he already knew exactly where you would be today at this moment. Like, he already knew it. And even if you're not where he intended you to be, God is going to give you the grace to get in line with where he wants you to be. And so, like, even though I tell him that, I try to remind myself of that also. Like, I try not to compare myself to things, because for me it's like a rabbit hole. Like, I'll start with one thing, and before I know it, like, I'm comparing, like, the dumbest things. Well, I saw such and such as teenager, and they look like they got the best. He look like he just so in love, and like, I'll just go way down the rabbit hole. And I've been talking to y'all about my emotions that be like all over the place, and before you know it, like, I'm sitting in a room with tear filled eyes, and ain't nobody even, like, it's all in my head. Like, and it doesn't matter what's happening around me in that moment. Like, if I just go too far, like, I just get stuck there.
I think when you dive into those types of comparisons where, like, you're comparing what you see with somebody else, you know how they used to talk about, like, keeping up with the Joneses, and, like, we're always looking at, like, somebody else's life. We don't always get the full picture of what somebody else had to go through to get to where they are. For instance, we don't know what their experience was to make their teenagers behave the way they do. We don't know how they threatened them kids before they walked out. Like, and we're like, wow, your kids are so well behaved. The mine are over here acting, like, all out of pocket and crazy. You don't know how many threats them children got while they sitting there. Them children scared for their life. Like, meanwhile, your kids got peace, but they acting crazy. So, and that's I think the thing that we kind of, like, we miss sometimes is, like, we compare ourselves, but we don't know what kind of, like, craziness the person that we're comparing ourselves or our lives to, what they're really experiencing deep down inside to the core. Like, we don't know what they're, like, what kind of fronts they're putting up, because people, like, how they talk about social media, and they talk about how, like, people's lifestyles are not quite what they seem on social media. So, like, we're looking at, what they have, posted or whatnot, and comparing, like, man, I should be further along. Look at how well they're doing. Not knowing that, everything that they're posting is not even real for them. It's like them putting up facades of things and things that they want to be real, but they're really not living up to it.
And the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. Sometimes the grass is actually greener, right?
Right.
But they're over there watering and fertilizing and weed and feed and doing all this stuff that you might not be willing to do. Like, my neighbors, they have the best lush lawns, and their grass really is greener. I have no interest in going on, and they be walking around with that thing that spreads, the spreader thing and all that stuff. And I'm like, listen, cut my grass. I'm fine with mediocre grass. It's not growing crazy. I'm fine with mediocre grass. Like, that's not a priority for me. So sometimes it's like, maybe somebody is further along, but that's not your priority to be further along in that area. Like, I have things that I want to make sure it's perfect, and I'm doing my best to, weed and feed that. But my grass, child, let's just cut it and make sure it's not overgrown, And I tell my neighbors, like, your grass is so green. Look at y'all. I ain't doing none of that. So it's about your priorities sometimes. Like, sometimes somebody is further along and maybe they are doing better or something, but that's not a priority for you, that particular thing,
I
I would
get you.
agree with that. 'Cause sometimes their grass is just fake too, like it's artificial grass.
I was waiting to see if you.
That's true.
I was gonna wait to see if you was gonna say that. Like, so we talk about like our communities a lot and different things that happen like in our communities. And I think about how comparison, like, it really tears down our communities a lot. Like, you got, like I said before, you have, the when it comes to just being women, now you got, the light skinned women against the dark skinned women. You got the women that decided to get surgery against the women that, like you said, it's not a priority for them. Like, they done had them kids and it's these stretch marks and whatever. This is just life now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and you have, that going against it. Then you have the women that are, they're so independent that they don't need anybody versus the women, that choose to have a man and a family. And I think about like how that affects our communities, like how we compare, things, or we allow, I guess, society, whoever society is, to to compare those things within us. Like, like I can't be friends with a high yellow girl because somehow she's better than me, or somehow she thinks she's better than me. Like, we allow society sometimes to put those comparisons on us, and we feed into it. What he say? He said, can comparison be a measuring stick, or can it be detrimental to what we become?
I think both. I think both because sometimes like there is like a bar that needs to be set when you're trying to achieve a particular goal. And it's like, okay, this is where I'm trying to get to. So like this is the goal. Like this person can be kind of like a role model for you, or comparison of whatever the situation is, maybe like the role model, maybe the roadmap. It may be this is this is the way to achieve this. So I'm gonna follow these steps that this person followed. But then at the same time, when you're using it because you're trying to outdo someone or you're trying to be better than someone else, and you're like, I gotta be better than them. I gotta, go higher than they went. I gotta get more degrees than they got. I gotta make more money than they made, or I gotta have, you know, more accomplishments than this, then it can be detrimental. So I think it's how you use comparison more so than like, because I mean there are things every day that we're going to compare, but it's how you use it, because if you're using it to where it's driving you in a negative way, then I think it is stealing your joy and it's stealing your peace in whatever you're trying to obtain and gain in those moments. But if you use it as motivation, then it can be helpful.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So Larry said we should use our experiences as an experience, but don't compare to what you are getting into next, because then you can be bringing unnecessary baggage. That is true. Um, like, I think, we were talking, well, the topic is, comparison versus contentment versus being content. And like, if I'm standing next to Shanetta and somebody hand her a $5,000 check, and then, they turn around to me and hand me a $3,000 check. Like, if I'm so busy, griping about what she got, I can't enjoy my 3,000.
Right.
Maybe whatever her need was at the moment, maybe that's what she needed. She needed somebody to do that for her. Whereas I didn't have the same need. Like, and so like I think just being content, learning how to be content with what you have and even where you are. Like, nobody said you just, okay, I made it halfway up the mountain, I'm just gonna quit. Like, I'm done. Being content doesn't have to mean that you're quitting. It
Right.
just means that I'm going to enjoy where I am, and you still can keep striving. But I don't have to compare myself to the next person. I don't have to say, oh well, it was 30 days and she lost 40 pounds and I only lost 20. So, I quit. Like, because she did better than me, you quit. And I think it's important to realize that sometimes contentment is just, I'm content with what I've done, but I'm going to continue to strive to do better,
Right.
versus just comparing what others are doing around you.
Right. We all have kids, multiple kids, right? So when you think about when you think about your children, do you like when your kids were growing up? And Sam, I know you're still in the midst of teenage. As they're growing up, was there ever a time with the kids where one kid got something and the other one did not?
Oh, lots of times for me, yeah.
And how do you explain that to the kids? Like, why did, he get that and I didn't get it? Like, how do we explain that to our kids?
You get what you need. You know what I mean? Like you get what you need. You don't always get something just because someone else gets it. Sometimes that's the case, but sometimes that's not the case. If you need it, you get it, and if you don't, especially if I don't have it, And one thing I had to, when my kids were young, I had to explain to them, yeah, we're doing all these activities or whatever, but yeah, your friend can get this, that, and the third, or be in more dances or whatever. But they have three adults in their household that's working. And yeah, it's two kids, but it's three adults working. It's two of y'all and one of me. So you got to compare it and look at how much, I'm a single parent. So that's now, a single mom with two kids. Now I'm at the poverty level almost. You know what I'm saying? It's, three adults working in their household. So you can't compare. No, I can't get you another pair. No, you can't be in 8 more dances. Like, because I don't have it. So you just have to look at your situation and be grateful that I can do what I can do with what we got. You know?
I totally agree with that. I mean, most of the time, yeah, the kids, we definitely focus on, who needs what. Because a lot of times, my son, he hard on the sneakers, boy. So he always need a new pair of sneakers. Where Lexi, she don't always need a new pair. And so, it became, okay, well, you don't get a pair because I'm buying him a pair. Like you got, like, even now, she has like 3 pairs of sneakers in her room. Would I buy you another pair of sneakers just because, he may need a pair? So yeah, sometimes it's definitely based on need. But like with school, I've always had to tell my kids like, well, you also get what you work for. You know what I'm saying? Like if she's gonna, or if he's gonna work hard all year long and get straight A's, there are rewards that come with hard work.
Yeah.
So I've tried to, remind my kids of that. Like there are rewards that come with hard work. Like if you're just gonna do enough to get by, then those are the benefits you get. You get the benefits of somebody that's just getting by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get the extra because you weren't willing to work for it. So that's been a lot of kind of, it's either need or what you're willing to work for. Now, if I'm just in a good mood and I'm buying something, I'm gonna buy both of them something. But most of the time it's either something out of need or what you're willing to work for.
Yeah. And I think that's the same method that we have to use with our adult selves when we're thinking about comparing versus being content. We have to use those same methods with ourselves to kind of like calm down that whole, I guess, negative side of comparing ourselves to others and not being content with where we are or what we have.
It was so funny while I was answering your question. In my head, I was thinking, I see what she did there. That was good. The whole time I was answering the question, I was like, oh, she thinks she's so slick. But that was good how you just worked that out. That I was thinking in my own head. I was answering my own question. That was really good. Good job on that one. But you are so right. Like I know for me sometimes I think about that a lot. A lot of the lessons, that I try to teach to my children, or, a lot of the talks that I'm having with them, when I'm having it with them, in my head, I'm like, how do I know this to tell them? But
Right.
then I forget the very same thing in the next moment. And I'm
Right.
always like, ugh. So it's interesting how, we can teach our kids, be happy for what you get, be grateful, be
Mhm.
content. This is what you got today. You work hard and get something else next time. And then we don't give ourselves any of that grace or any of that slack.
Right.
We like, oh, you messed up. Look over there. She running 10 miles and you barely did a mile. Like we don't have that same, I'm gonna say, care and love for ourselves,
Right.
Yeah.
or compassion rather. I'm not gonna say love. So that same care and compassion, that we have with our children, or sometimes even with other people.
Right.
We don't always have that for ourselves.
Yeah. I would agree. I think we when we began to compare our lives to the measuring stick of somebody else's life, I think that's when you're being very hard on yourself about what you have or have not been able to accomplish in the amount of time that you've had. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think about, like, even with school, like I tell my daughter that it's okay for it to take you more than 4 years to complete your bachelor's degree. It's okay for you to change your major. It's okay for, because I don't want her to fall into the slump of comparing herself to other people who have.
Right.
When we were younger, I completed my bachelor's degree in 3 years. But my motivation was very different than my sisters. It took both of my sisters 5 years to complete their majors. And so a lot of times, like, I remember this one time my dad said to one of them, like, well, what's taking you so long? Shanetta completed her degree in 3 years. And she was like, well, everybody can't be Shanetta. And that was kind of like her response to the question, which was perfect because, like, they did not need to compare her, because my motivation for completing in 3 years was completely different. I never changed my major. I knew what I was going to school for, and I finished that course. I also went to summer school. I took a full load during summer school. I took a full load every semester. So, like, my learning was continuous versus them. They were like, no, I'm enjoying my summer vacation. Oh yeah,
Right.
I did one semester with this major. I changed my mind. I don't want to do that no more. Okay, let me try another one. Oh, let me try that one. Didn't work. One of them changed her major like 5 times. So, like, naturally it took her 5 years to finish because she changed her major like every other semester, it seemed like. um so you can't do that kind of comparison with anybody's life because you don't know what's, like, happening in the background of their lives to motivate them to get to where they're getting to. So you have to kind of set your own bar, use other people as, like, okay, this is the map, but you have to, like, make sure you set your own bar as far as, like, what you want out of your life and what you want out of each day that you get up. Like, somebody could be looking at my life and be like, oh, she's taking all these vacations during the summer, but you don't know that, like, during the year I can't make no moves because, like, I'm literally, like, taking care of people's children all the time.
Right.
So that's you can't compare what's going on in one person's life to what's going on in yours. You have to be mindful of what you have and being satisfied where you are, but striving for more.
Right. And the crazy part is we all aren't even designed to be the same. We're not designed to be the same person. We're
No.
all designed to be uniquely yourself. And so, like, I remember one time I was involved in this church ministry, and I did something. I was working on a project with some other people, working on the project. And to be honest, I was I was really working on the project. The other people were just a part of the team. And so one Sunday, the pastor, like, he calls them up there and he congratulates them for, all the work that they had done. Never mentioned my name, never called me up front. I found myself in the back, like mad. Like I got so mad, like I was like on the verge of crying because I was so angry. I couldn't really say anything. And then the thought popped in my head, like, why do you care? You don't even like being up front in front of people. And like the crazy part, I was comparing myself to something that I didn't even want for myself. Like, I'm never the person that I want you to put me out front and, and start clapping and hooping and presenting. I'm never that person. But somehow I started comparing myself, to these people for something that I didn't even desire. Like, and it was so crazy in that moment. Like, I felt like a total dummy. Like, I was satisfied just completing the project and feeling like I did it, like I did this work. Like, I was happy all by myself. And then somehow in that moment, I like lost myself. In that one quick moment, I lost myself to comparison in my own head. Like, I'm comparing myself to something that I didn't even want. And I was like, that's just so crazy how, how our mind can work. Like it can really like put you in a place where you are comparing yourself to something that you don't even want. Like, I see now, women, the new thing is, oh, I don't need a man, I don't whatever. And you comparing yourself to some woman, some chick, whatever, knowing that you want a husband.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no comparison. We don't even want the same things. Like, we're not the same person. And I think it's very important that we remind ourselves of that. Like, we are uniquely made, each and every person. Yeah, you can favor somebody and they talk about, people have weird people that look like them and somewhere on the other side of the world, it might be somebody that has your face, by some weird genetic, markers or whatever. But even with that, even a person that has your face, their DNA and their makeup is totally different from yours.
Different. Yeah.
Because we're all unique, we're all made differently. And I think, that could kill a lot of the comparison. Like, reminding yourself, that I am unique. I am different. I was created to be me. Like, I wasn't created to be Shanetta. Shanetta's already Shanetta. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to compare myself to her because I was created to be Samantha. Like, I'm a whole different person. And I think, if we remind ourselves of that, of what we were created for and how. Oh, Larry, enjoy your night. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you. And how we were created. I think that would help a lot of narrowing down that paralyzing comparison. The way you compared yourself all the way into depression.
Right.
Now you can't function because you know you're so busy looking to your
Right.
left or to your right.
Have you seen the interviews of Danae Jackson?
Who?
Danae Jackson. So
Who's that?
there's this guy. His name is Derek Jackson, and he's
Derek
like
Oh, the wife.
the wife. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Have you
I
seen
saw.
the videos that she's done recently? The interview that she was doing about their divorce and about how she was comparing herself to the women he was having affairs with.
I saw a clip of her. Yes.
And just even thinking about that and thinking about the level that of depression and of
Right.
um I guess self just demeaning herself to a level where she was trying to do things like this other woman to please this man who it wasn't her. Like it wasn't even like I just listening to her and I was just like, there is no way in this world that any woman should have to feel like she needs to do what another woman is doing to get someone to treat her a certain way, to get
Right.
someone to love her a certain type of way. And I think that that's the extreme of where
Right.
comparing yourself, the extreme low of where comparing yourself to someone else can take a person. Um, and probably she, for the most part, probably could have been maybe a very strong minded person until she started spiraling into this situation. So even the strongest person could take something like comparing yourself to another person and it caused you to spiral into something that you never even imagined yourself being, or to do things that you never even imagined yourself doing. Um, and that's kind of what I heard and saw when I was watching those interviews that she did about how she literally spent hours on end studying the side chick basically, so that she could be better for him. And that just seemed like there is like, and I mean when we listen to it and I would never, sit and do nothing like that. And I'm just like, wow, like that, like she allowed that to like completely tear her down versus her, saying no, like if this is what you want to do, go do what you're doing. I'm not about to like try to be that woman for you. If I'm not enough, then hey, have a nice day.
Right. And that's the thing. She comparing herself to, like you said, a side chick. You compare yourself to somebody that didn't even want to be in a relationship with him because she ain't with him. As soon as you was gone, they weren't interested anymore.
Right.
Like 9 times out of 10, um, like they don't want to be a wife. They don't want to, take care of kids and have responsibilities and
Mhm.
have to pay bills and have to worry about a household. They don't want that part.
Yeah.
They just want the extras. And so,
Mhm.
like, yeah, compare yourself. That is extreme. I mean, I did see, like I said, clips of it when she was saying like she knew those other women's body better than she knew hers.
Yes.
And I was just like, that is really, really extreme. So I
Yeah.
I will, but that's that rabbit hole though. It's
Yes.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I did see. I don't know why I don't know what her name is. I just know his name, and yeah,
Yeah. Just all the foolishness that came along with.
right. So do you think though that comparison is playing a part in tearing apart our communities though?
I would have to say yes, because I think that like with our children and just young people, I think that because social media is such a big deal that they spend a lot of time trying to be like these people that they see versus looking at the people that are real up close and in person that they can really truly learn from. Everybody wants to be, a rapper. Everybody wants to be, a socialite. Everybody wants to have the hair the same way, the same clothes, the same bags, the same, so they spend so much time trying to like be all these people, like, and it's like you're spending $1,000 on a purse for what? um can you afford $1,000 purse? Like,
Right.
can she afford $1,000 purse, or is someone giving her that purse to sponsor? Like, you don't even know what's going on, but you spending your last, bit of money to try to buy this purse that you think this person bought when somebody gave them that to, put out for their followers so that their followers could purchase these things or whatnot. I think that our young people spend a lot of time trying to be like somebody else. And to be honest, they all look the same to me. I was looking at a picture of like a who wore it best. Um with some outfits that some of these young girls have been wearing, and I was like, so that's not the same girl 3 times. And I swiped through the pictures like multiple times, like, are y'all sure this isn't the same girl? But it was three different girls, but they looked exactly the same. And it was like, okay, so everybody wants to be the same person. Got it.
Right. There's no more individuality. Somehow, just being me,
It's not
um, I don't know, people feel inadequate. Just being yourself,
yeah.
like it's not good enough anymore. Like, and that's like so odd. Like I often sit and wonder, like, how did we get so far away from taking pride in who we are.
Mhm.
Like I've been seeing on social media, they show pictures like of different decades of black people, and like how back in the day, they dressed and they wore suits, and they were dressed up, and they took care with what they looked like and stuff. And then you see the video now, and it's like, where did all the pride go? Like, what happened? They march so that, I don't know, so we can feel proud of our skin and our heritage and our culture. And like now, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like our culture is like slowly disappearing. We
Yeah.
compare everything that should be great about us. I don't know. We compare it to just outside extra stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's especially as a parent, like it's hard, to watch. Like, now you have the kids that don't want to be whatever they were born at, not born as, they want to be something else. And
Yeah.
now they should be able to compete, with this one, and this one should be able to be over there, and they all should be able to go to the same back. And I'm just like, my daughter shouldn't have to be compared to, somebody else. She shouldn't be made to feel less. Like, now they want to call women, what is it, birthing person? Or you're not a woman, or is it a mother? What is it? That they were trying to remove some title, right? And you're not considered, I think it's a mother. You're not considered a mother. You're considered a birthing person. It's like legal. Like, look at the thing.
Yeah.
They can cost you,
Hmm.
right? We lost our standards, right? It's birthing person.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real
Yeah.
thing. Like, and so like it's almost like, well, like you say, Anthony, like, losing our standard, losing, like, where's the bar? Like, is there any bar anymore? Like, a standard for, I don't, just anything at this point. Everything is compared. Like now, a man, if he decides to put on a dress and some stockings and a wig, and some makeup, he can be considered a woman.
He can be considered whatever he wants to be.
Right. Whatever he wants to be. And now here I am as a woman, like I'm forced to try to validate the fact that I'm an actual woman when I'm an actual woman.
Right.
Like, so I think about those things, and I feel like, society is really like, it's like it's always a versus. There's always something, versus this. It was heterosexual couples versus same-sex couples.
Mhm.
Well, we should have the same rights as them. Like, it's, I feel like it's always something. It's always a constant battle, a constant state of, you know, um, antagonizing,
Mhm.
like, to keep us all riled up and angry at something. Like I saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday on the internet, Kiki Palmer, she went to Usher's concert.
Mhm.
She just had a baby or something, whatever. I don't know. She wore something to the concert. All right, the baby daddy slash boyfriend, whoever he is, he made a comment about what she was wearing. Oh, you're a mother now. Something about her outfit and her being a mother. The internet, like, so then all day it's like people, everybody's one side or another. Everybody's either attacking him because he has no right to feel any kind of way, or people attacking her because she should have put on more clothes. And I'm like, this is our life all day long. If you scroll up and down, it doesn't matter what the initial post is. you go down, you're gonna see comparison. Very few people that are content about anything,
Right.
and anger, and somebody is attacking somebody. It's either, you or me, us or them,
Mm.
like all up and down our timeline. And I wonder, like, how do we fix this? How do we change this? I mean, I get it. We're not all gonna hold hands and sing kumbaya. That's a long lost dream. We've gotten past that. But like, how do we just, be able to, I don't know, just commune with each other?
I think genuinely it boils down to teaching our kids the truth about who they should desire to be and how they should strive for those desires. Like, don't let somebody else tell you who you are, who you should be, or how you should obtain what you're trying to get to. You get to choose, you get to decide what your goals are in this life. Don't let this society be that guiding tool for you, but teaching kids to be individuals and to have strong minds to be able to say, this is what I desire, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it done, versus, well, this is how little rapper boy 2000 got to having his millions. I'm going to, follow that, and I'm going to do whatever he's doing. And I know I sound like an old person.
I was just about to say, I want you to know you're officially old. Rapper Boy 2000, yeah.
But nonetheless, like, this is what they're doing. Like, they're trying to follow after all these people that are supposedly socialites instead of actually like setting their own goals and doing it their way. And I think that's the problem, is that we have to teach our kids to be individuals.
I agree. Trina?
I agree. You have to, like Shanetta said, you have to make your own goals and work toward it. But at the same time, sometimes you don't know what you want to do, and it's kind of like I told my daughter, it's okay. It's okay not to know what's next,
Right.
and it's okay to take some time to figure it out. You don't need to feel like this pressure to, oh, I'm supposed to have as she says, an adult job now, and I'm supposed to have this and that. No, you're still figuring it out. I don't know if I want to go to graduate school. I don't know. So figure it out. Figure it out. There's no pressure, and especially I told her, especially I said, you don't have any children. You know what I'm saying? You don't have all these big responsibilities. Take this time now to figure it out. And even when you do figure it out, you may grow, evolve, and change and want to do something else. And that's okay too. So, it's not, we put pressure on ourselves. Number one. And then secondly, we don't take time to take inventory of the progress that we already made. Like I'm telling her, you have a whole degree. Like, be happy. You accomplished this. It wasn't easy in the middle of a pandemic. You still were going back and forth to school and still working. Let's kind of revel in that a little bit. Don't put all this pressure on yourself. And then of course I'm telling her, and I'm saying, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me tell myself that.
Right.
Same thing, look at my own accomplishments and take inventory of my progress and where I used to be, where I am now. Even my mental health, just feeling better about myself, making progress, doing the work to heal and all that stuff. Just look back at the progress I've made there, and revel in that, and not just be like, okay, what's next? What I gotta do this? I'm not this. What am really take inventory of the progress you've already made and kind of, celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So, I say every week that, we hope something that we said at the very least stops you in your tracks long enough for you to think about it. And maybe you'll think about it, be like, I don't do that. And you'll move on with your day. And maybe you'll think about it and say, oh, wow, okay, I never realized that's what I was doing. And then you'll make a different decision and still move on with your day. But our goal is to definitely invoke thought just to anybody that watches, anybody that listens, we hope that you're able to take something away, even if it's not for you. Maybe you could share it with someone else. Most importantly, be content in being unique. That's the best way I can say it. Be content in being uniquely yourself. We are all created to be different and unique. Take some time to just enjoy that. Enjoy your uniqueness. Yeah, you're not where whoever is. You don't look like whoever. You don't sound like, you don't do things like those other people, but you weren't created to. You were created to do things like yourself and be unique. So if you take nothing else away, take away the fact that you were wonderfully and uniquely made, and enjoy that. When you look in the mirror, remind yourself of that fact. We are on every Thursday at 8 p.m. So we hope that you'll see fit to join us again next week. Until then, be safe.
Thank you for watching.